In the Ironfold, property does not have a name on the registry. It has a number. Railvorn's number is 4441. Stamped in iron ink on the third page of Warhouse Mars ledger. Bonded conscript. Status. Property. Value. 40 iron marks. His existence is accounted for with the same indifference as a supply card. He was purchased at the conscript exchange on a gray Tuesday morning, signed over by a debt collector who didn't bother to meet his eyes, and marched through the rear gate of House Mars training compound before midday. He was 19. That was 2 years ago. The training compound is not a place where soldiers are made. It is a place where ranked knights are sharpened. Knights need something to hit, something that hits back just enough to keep the exercise honest, but not hard enough to damage a ranked combatant. Bonded conscripts fill that function. Issued gray uniforms with no insignia. Assigned to the yard at dawn. Rail is the best at surviving it. Every morning, Knight Commander Aldrin Voss walks the yard in polished plate. And every morning he selects a conscript to demonstrate a strike sequence on. He selects Rail often. Voss is not theatrical about it. He simply does not think of it as cruelty. The number 4441 does not have feelings the way a person does. Lord Caspian Mar watches from the stone gallery above with the mild, comfortable attention of a man inspecting livestock. Rail does not look up at the gallery. He takes every strike. He times his falls. He is back on his feet before the next blow lands. And something none of them notice, not Voss, not Mar, not the High Registrar's clerk who audits the ledger twice a year, is that with each strike that lands on Railvorn, a faint impression forms beneath his skin that is not a bruise and is not a scar. It is a mark. On the morning that Rail absorbs his 1,000th combat mark, Knight Commander Voss drives an iron gauntlet fist into Rail's forearm in a demonstration for 6 junior knights. The blow lands, and then it stops, not slowly. A pressure reversal travels up Voss's arm at a speed that has no business being that fast, and the force of his own strike, magnified by exactly half, discharges through his shoulder and drops him to one knee in the dirt. The 6 junior knights go very still. Rail stands where he was standing. Around his right wrist, visible for the first time, a single chain link has appeared, iron dark, precise, glowing at its joint with a light that is not firelight. Sovereign chain, stage I active, iron chain. Combat max absorbed, 1,000/2,000. Passive, force return. All kinetic force directed at the bearer reverses, at times 1.5. Command tokens accumulating. Voss sends 2 senior knights into the yard. Then 8. Every strike they land comes back at 1.5 times its force. Within 4 minutes, all 8 are on the ground, and Rail has not moved from the spot where he started. Lord Mar appears at the gallery railing. "Restrain it," he says. Rail, for the first time in 2 years, looks up at the gallery. He says nothing, just looks, and something in that look makes Mar take a step back before he remembers that the number 4441 is property. Mar orders the isolation cell. His calculation: remove the number from the yard, cut the combat marks off, let the chain go dormant. The Ironfold has no law protecting property from isolation. The calculation is wrong. The isolation cell has a guard rotation. Guards are ranked soldiers. When a ranked guard opens the cell door to deliver the twice-daily meal, the chain on Rail's wrist reads the guard's command authority, the formal weight encoded in their Warhouse contract, the way a ledger clerk reads an entry. Precisely, completely, and it stores it. Rail does not need to fight. He needs only proximity to ranked authority. By day 12, the chain has 17 links. By day 30, 41. On day 43, Voss comes in person with his full plate and his Knight Commander insignia and stands in the doorway long enough to assess whether the containment is working. He looks at the number sitting on the stone floor. He looks at the chain. He issues an order to seal the cell permanently and discontinue rations. The chain records the order. It records his voice. It records the authority weight behind the words. Knight Commander, 3rd tier in the Warhouse hierarchy, command equivalent to 200 ranked soldiers. On day 44, the cell door opens from the inside, not because Rail breaks it, because the chain no longer recognizes the lock as an authority that outranks him. Sovereign chain, stage I, 1,844 marks absorbed. Stage 2 threshold, 2,000 marks, 156 remaining. Rail walks into the main compound's eastern yard at the exact moment the morning drill rotation begins. He stands in the archway. Voss sees him and issues a command. Every knight in the yard, arrested, and the 46 knights look at Rail, and then at each other, and do not move. This is the quiet reversal, the one that slides between the ribs. Voss's command has weight, because every ranked soldier in Warhouse, Mar has spent years being trained to obey it. That weight is real, encoded in the registry, legally binding, psychologically absolute. But 47 days of proximity to ranked authority in isolation have given Rail's chain a command resonance that sits just above Voss's third-tier weight. The knights are not choosing Rail over Voss. Their bodies are simply responding to the highest authority frequency in range. The way a compass doesn't choose north. Voss repeats the command. Louder. Nobody moves. The drill runs for exactly 52 more minutes. Every knight who approaches adds marks to the chain. Every discharged blow adds command tokens. Rail does not escalate. He stands in the center of the yard and takes precisely what he needs, and then he steps back. At mark 2,000, the chain speaks. Not in words, in weight. Every strike from Voss's iron gauntlet, every blow from the junior knights, every command tier reading from the guards in the isolation block, 730 days of absorbed authority, solidifies at once into a column of command weight with no corresponding tier in the high registry, because the high registry has never imagined a tier above Lord. Sovereign chain, stage 2, complete. Command authority absorbed. Knight commander times 1/senior knight times 14/ranked guard times 39. Total weight. Above Warhouse tier. No registered ceiling. Designation. Unranked/above chain/the sovereign. Rail raises his left hand. One word. Stand down. All 46 knights lower their weapons at the same instant. Not reluctantly. With the clean, automatic obedience of soldiers responding to the highest command authority in range. Voss shouts the same order. Stand down. Resume positions. His voice carrying the full force of 11 years of Knight Commander authority. The 46 knights do not move. They're already standing down. And when Voss and Rail issue the same command simultaneously, the chain's authority, sitting above Warhouse tier with no registered ceiling, resolves to Rail. Every time, Lord Caspian Mar arrives at the yard entrance with his full retinue and his seal of house authority, 2 full tiers above Voss, the highest command weight in this compound. He points at Rail with the absolute certainty of a man whose commands have never failed. Sees it. 49 armed, ranked soldiers. Not one takes a step. The chain on Rail's wrist catches the afternoon light. Rail looks at Mar with the same expression he has worn for 2 years in this yard. Calm, precise, completely unbothered. Lord Mar, his voice is even. Your authority in this compound is now below mine. Your command tokens are in my chain. Your knight commanders are in my chain. Every guard you posted in that isolation block is in my chain. You have no command weight left in this space. Mar opens his mouth, closes it. You will send a runner to the high registry to summon High Registrar Seld, because if you do not, your retinue will carry out my instruction, and you will watch your own men obeying me in front of your gate guards. That will be undignified. The runner goes. High Registrar Seld arrives 2 hours later with senior clerks and the official registry seal. He has been told there is a disturbance involving a bonded conscript. He has not been told what kind, because Mar's messenger could not find a way to describe it that made him sound like a man still in control of his house. Seld walks into the main hall and finds Lord Mar seated to the left of the long table. Voss behind him, and at the head of the table, in a plain chair, pulled square to center, a man in a gray conscript uniform with a band of sovereign chain on his wrist and the calm expression of someone waiting for a scheduled appointment. Seld looks at the ledger entry. Bonded conscript 4,441. Status. Property. then at the man, then at the chain. Rail says, there is no class designation in the registry above Warhouse Lord tier. I am asking you to create one, because what I carry is above it, and the registry should be accurate. He lets that sit. While you consider it, I would also like to dissolve the bonded conscript registry. Every entry in the property column, the legal instrument that allows war houses to purchase, register, and utilize human beings as property. Voided. Every entry retroactive. Cell begins to explain that this is beyond his authority. Rail says quietly, give an order to any ranked soldier in this room. Seld, uncertain, tells one of Mars' knights to bring him water. The knight looks at Rail. Rail nods once. The knight goes. Seld sits with that for a long moment. The mathematics of what he is witnessing reassembles itself into something he cannot argue with. Mar pushes back his chair. His voice is still trying to carry the weight of 300 years of Warhouse history. Every contract and commission back to the founding of the Ironfold. This is not legal. This is property claiming authority over. Sit down, Rail says, not loudly, not harshly, the way you would say it to someone you are giving one reasonable instruction to and expect it to be followed. Mars sits. He does not mean to. His body simply interprets the instruction as coming from the highest command authority in the room and responds before his mind can object. He sits and looks at his own hands in the chair, and something behind his eyes goes very quiet. Voss steps forward with his hand on his sword. He is a knight commander who has never backed down in 11 years of service and is not going to back down from a number in a gray uniform. He draws. Rail watches him draw. Voss swings. The chain inverts the force, clean, absolute, and Voss's own strike drives the pommel into his own sternum with a knight commander's full weight behind it. He goes down and does not get up. Rail looks at the high registrar. Seld picks up the registry seal. The dissolution order takes 11 minutes to write. It voids every property entry in every Warhouse ledger in the Ironfold, retroactive to the oldest entry, and creates a new classification tier, unranked / above chain / the sovereign, with a single name beneath it. Railvorn, number 4441. Now something else entirely. Seld stamps it. The chain on Rail's wrist does not change. It does not need to. It has already done everything it was built to do, 730 days of standing in the center of a yard and taking every blow without panicking, without running, without begging. 2 years of being treated as a number in a ledger, a tool, a thing that absorbs damage and resets before the next demonstration. And the damage absorbed every mark, and the marks built a chain, and the chain took everything they used to own him, every rank, every order, every command authority they ever wielded in his presence, and gave it back to him absolutely, and there is no registered authority in the Ironfold that can reach it. Mar is still in his chair. He has not been told he may get up. Rail stands, straightens the collar of his gray conscript uniform, the only thing he is still wearing from the life they assigned him, and walks toward the main gate. The gate guards step aside before he reaches them, not from fear, because the highest command authority in range says to step aside, and they have spent their careers obeying command authority without asking why. The gate opens. Behind him, in the hall, Lord Caspin Mar sits at the left of the long table and does not give an order. Not because he has nothing to say, because he has spent the last hour watching his own soldiers obey a different voice, and he understands now that if he speaks and the silence follows, it will be worse than saying nothing. So he says nothing, and Railvorn walks out of Warhouse Mar into the gray afternoon light of the Ironfold. Calm, sovereign, completely unbothered. The same way he stood in the yard every morning for 2 years while they sharpened their knights on him. The only thing that has changed is everything.